A woman's worst enemy is not the patriarchy. It is not masculinity or not even toxic masculinity. A woman's worst enemy is a jaded, miserable, modern, radical feminist. There is not, and it is almost impossible to find a radical feminist who is not jaded and miserable. Because in more cases than not, that's what leads these individuals into a place of becoming this radicalized feminist. It's kind of like, in the red pill space or the manosphere, when you see these dudes who are so far gone, they have such a deep hatred and a disdain for women, for themselves first and foremost, and then that is reflected onto women. And so every message is about, us against them. That's what the feminist is, and I would bet to say even on steroids, because they get to get away with it. There are not many consequences in this society that promotes and celebrates this level of insanity, of mental instability, and dare I say, mental illness. They say more than 50%, and this is a 2020 Pew Research study. Y'all can look this up for yourselves. They say that more than 50% of white liberal women, so many of those will classify as our radical feminists, would be considered or consider themselves as mentally ill. Not just unstable, not unwell, mentally ill, right? So imagine going through your life as a decent, content person. Maybe you're not the most ecstatic and, jubilant, but you are content. You're cool. You're chilling. And you're having a chilling life. And all of a sudden you find yourself in friendship, so-called friendship with one of these individuals. Now, let's say you're in a relationship and, you're going through the courtship and you're soon to be married. You are seeing the prospect of marriage. The feminists would tell you that you are wasting your life away if you're thinking about marriage, especially if you're younger, right? And I'm talking about 20s, maybe even early 30s. They'll tell you that you're wasting away your time. And why basically become a servant of a man, a slave of a man, as opposed to going out there and living your life. Now, the people who deliver these messages aren't always just your homegirl. It could be a mother, an auntie. It could be a sister. It could be some of these white dudes for Skamala. You know what I mean? It could be a dude who then has become a radical feminist, but they all move through life with the very same messaging. And it's to lead you away from the things that would actually bring you greater joy in your life. And I've seen this happen to countless women because I used to do a lot of content around relationships and things of that nature. It was kind of my Trojan horse to get people to actually introspect about themselves and to, make better decisions within themselves as opposed to also blaming and looking externally for everything. It was a perfect, gateway into personal development where I could, teach that while people are getting the thing that they think they actually want most, which is I really want, a relationship. But what you really need is to, deal with the internal trauma, and then healthy relationships will come as a byproduct of that. But I digress. The radical feminists, the so-called modern feminists, what some would say the third wave of feminism, whatever it may be, these are the individuals that will push you to be for the streets, but won't be there to pick up the pieces once you become traumatized over and over again. This is the misery loves company. Not only misery loves company, somebody left a comment and it was a bar. They said misery loves miserable company. So they don't want your company if you are joyful, if you are content, if you are satisfied within yourself, if you have a certain level of, love, respect, reverence from a man. Oh, I said the worst enemy of a feminist, her greatest nightmare is a woman who is happy, married, healthy, thriving, and a mother on top of that. That one would just take them out completely, right? If you're a mama and you love being a mama on top of that, they despise this sort of person, and they will mask themselves as the sisterhood. There's this entire movement of the sisterhood, the sisterhood, the sisterhood. What is the sisterhood? The sisterhood is nothing more than an illusion. It is a mirage of camaraderie, of me and you. We're in this together. Women supporting women. And it's a fantastic thing when that actually works out, but it doesn't happen as, this kind of slogan and these groups that we manufacture. No, it comes as a natural byproduct of who you are. My girl is an extremely supportive woman. She's intelligent, hyper intelligent. She's witty. She's there. She's beautiful. She's all these things. And so when she has a conversation with another woman, she's looking through the lens of how can I help? How can I serve? Because she already knows who she is. You know what I mean? That just might be that airy spirit. I don't know, but she knows who she is, period. And so when another woman's showing up, it's not going to be, oh, how do I tear you down? No, it's like, how do I build you up? That's all I ever see. So that comes naturally. There is no sisterhood. There's, oh, we got to stick together. No, there is none of that. It's like this conversation of, oh man, we got to, support this type of black owned business, black owned business. It's like, if you're manufacturing that as opposed to just letting it be natural, that's a great business. They do great work. They have a great service, great product. Therefore, I'm going to do business with you, as opposed to just forcing something when it's disingenuous. And now you become resentful because their food is trash, or, the product or service or whatever it is not to your liking. The customer service is absolutely abysmal, and now you become resentful. It's the same thing with this sisterhood. Like it's manufactured and it's fake when they're telling you about it. Women got to stick together. Those are almost always the women I see. We got to stick together. We got to stick together. Queen, queen, queen. Those are almost always the first ones to turn on one another. Those almost always. Almost always. I have seen countless situations where the women who cry the loudest, we got to stick together. We got to woo, 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 woo. All of a sudden, something happens. There's a rift in the relationship somehow. Somebody gets something that they actually want, and they're actually envying. And now it's hate towards that person. Now it's envy. Now it's jealousy. Now it's back talking. I mean, there probably was a little bit of back talking already, but now it's a full slanderous campaign. Oh, it's vile, folks. It's vile. Nobody will ruin a woman's life faster than a radical feminist. Nobody. These are the same people who are out there protesting to unalive the youth, unalive their own children. I did a video not too long ago where I talked about a woman who literally had a cake made for the unaliving of her child. The cake said, it's a, it would have like the gender reveal. It said, it's a abortion. I can't make this up. She had a cake made for that. They're celebrating this now. There are people on the internet who are literally celebrating this. And these are the people who claim to be feminists, right? They're doing the least feminine thing, because most of a woman's her biological makeup is for the sake of child rearing, of developing the child internally as well as, once the child is born, and externally, right? A lot of these faculties are created for support of this precious life. But instead, these people they've inverted from what they actually are. That we're dealing with a spirit, I say that and I don't use it hyperbolically. How else can you explain that level of vile nature when somebody's so given over to such darkness? A woman who's supposed to be the nurturer and the protector of her child now becomes the one who is actually unaliving that child. Imagine that. Imagine that. One who is supposed to be the one to cultivate and develop a relationship and to be relationship focused is now the one who's out there for the streets being a dog. That's a backwards way of living. That is a warped perception. That is being overcome by something that is not your true nature. And so these people will leave you high and dry. That's why I've always preached the message of beware who you're actually surrounding yourself with, because the person you call a friend may very well be your greatest enemy. They very may well view themselves as somebody whose job it is to tear you down or tear that system down that's around you, right? I've seen many married women, especially online, etc., has stories shared with me. It's like they have aunties, mothers, whatever it is, telling them, oh, you shouldn't get married. Oh, you need to unalive that baby. Like, what? You're supposed to be encouraging life. You're supposed to be encouraging marriage. You're supposed to be encouraging commitment and these values. But instead, they project their own debauchery onto everybody else. And so, the message that I always preach from my little baby soapbox is, Always audit the people around you. Why are they actually here? What is this about? What are they actually adding value? Or are they actually adding value or not? Are they an asset or a liability? It sounds real cold as an approach, but it's the God honest truth, because bad company corrupts. My girl always brings that up, right? Corrupt company is always going to corrupt. If you surround yourself with individuals who have a certain value system, it's going to leak into your own life in some way. Even if you don't indulge in those things, you're going to find yourself a lot more lax about them because you're already enabling a lot of those behaviors, right? But the most likely is that you're just going to do the things that those people do or don't do. They say that if your best friend has an obese friend, you're not even connected to them. You're like 25% more likely to be obese. I know it's a crazy study, but we like to talk about the stats, right? You're more than 25% more likely to become obese because there's a normalization of it. If you have a best friend who is, it's far beyond 50%, right? Chances. Again, you might not have started that way, but you'll normalize it. And therefore, the habits that you develop, which lead to that, because that's what that's about. You didn't wake up one day and all of a sudden you found yourself 200 plus. No. You got that way because there were habits that you were indulging in that you allowed to get out of control. And so there you are on the other side. That's how that happens, folks. I know we want to create other stories for us. No, that's how that happens every single time. 10 times out of 10. That's how you got there. And it's far easier to normalize those behaviors when you have these people who are next to you who you believe are friends. They're enabling you in your most dysfunctional behaviors. When I was an addict, I was surrounded by other addicts. When I separated myself, these same individuals were the ones who are now essentially gaslighting me into believing that I was the problem, And it came to a place where they started distancing themselves, which was a blessing for me. They started to make space between me and them because, I wasn't willing to just watch them waste away. And they hated to just see me there reflecting something that they were not. So you got to watch the people that are around you. This is a message for everybody. This spirit can be on anybody. It can be on a man as much as a woman. There's a lot of dudes out here with a lot of not just feminine energy, but dark triad feminine energy. It is like the twisted, toxic feminine. We love to talk about the toxic masculine, and it's just easy. The toxic feminine it's a labyrinth. It's complex. It's coverted. And y'all got to be cautious. Again, you can surround yourself by those who truly build one another up, but that has to start from within you. And they're going to be rare, few and far between. You don't need a huge posse in order to just continue to get validation from. No. One good friend is plenty. Literally, one solid friend is plenty. 2 is incredible. 3 is unlikely. More than that, now you're really pushing it. I'm not saying that you're not going to find that. You have rare occurrences, but the people who are going to be down for you and up with you, once in a lifetime type of stuff. Value those, hold those close, and don't sabotage them because you want to hold on to the rest of these dysfunctional peoples.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time time is taking. A 3, 6, 5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising. They see your light shine, that's why they so frustrated. Even the sofa in Nova Scotia will win the bagels. I couldn't get them ease on the grease, why they burning up? Money growing trees, feel a breeze, still you showing love. I can dig your energy, even in the darks, I know you got that inner peace. You can fill a cup again, your limit is infinity. You manifest a life with all the fixings and amenities. This is more or less a house sitting. A sitting on a house like Snoopy. A teacher, no dog, new tricks, that's bliss. Cause there ain't no Charlie Browns in this vicinity.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light.